There are some feelings that cannot be rushed. Some hearts need time to understand what they truly want, and some connections grow quietly, even when nothing is said. I don't know exactly what tomorrow will bring, but deep inside me, there is a calm belief that after some days, after all the distance, doubts, and unanswered moments, our paths will come closer together. I am not here to pressure you or make promises that life cannot keep. I just want you to know what my heart feels. Every day, in the silence between my thoughts, I find myself imagining a future where you are beside me. Not because I want to possess you, but because my heart has found something beautiful in you that it doesn't want to lose. Maybe today we are still strangers in some ways. Maybe there are things we haven't said, emotions we are still afraid to admit, and miles between the life we have now and the life we could have together. But time has a strange way of revealing what truly belongs in our hearts. And if fate is kind to us, then after some days, you won't just be someone I think about in quiet moments. You will be someone I can look at and say, we finally made it here. There is something I have been carrying quietly in my heart, something I have not always known how to say. It is not a demand. It is not a promise made to control the future. It is simply a feeling that has stayed with me through ordinary days and silent nights. A feeling that tells me that maybe after some days, after life has taken us through whatever it still needs to teach us, we will look at each other differently. Maybe one day, the distance between what we are and what we could become will no longer feel so impossible. I think about you more often than I say, not because I want to turn you into a dream that only exists in my mind, but because there is something about you that has found a place inside me. Some people enter your life loudly. They arrive with big words, dramatic promises, and endless reasons why you should believe in them. But sometimes the person who matters most enters quietly, slowly, almost without you noticing, and then one day, you realize that their presence has become part of the way you see the world. That is what this feeling is like for me. I do not want to rush you. I do not want to stand in front of you and ask you to give me an answer before your heart is ready. Love should never feel like a locked door with only one way out. It should feel like two people slowly discovering that they are walking toward the same place. If you need time, then I understand time. If you need space, then I understand space. If there are days when you are unsure of what you feel, I understand uncertainty too. Because the truth is, I am not asking you to belong to me today. I am only telling you what my heart quietly hopes for tomorrow. After some days, maybe you will see me not only as the person I am right now, but as the person who stayed honest with you when it would have been easier to pretend. Maybe you will remember the small things, the words I said when you were tired, the moments when I listened without asking for anything in return, the way I cared even when no one else was watching. Maybe one day you will understand that my feelings were never about winning you like a prize. They were about finding something real and being brave enough to admit that it mattered to me. There are so many things in life we cannot control. We cannot control the exact moment when someone begins to understand our heart. We cannot control the roads that bring two people closer or pull them apart. We cannot control the past, and we cannot always predict what tomorrow will ask of us. But we can control how honestly we love. We can control whether our words have truth behind them. We can control whether we treat someone's heart with patience instead of pressure. That is what I want to give you. Patience. Not the kind of patience that waits while secretly keeping score. Not the kind that says, look at everything I have done for you, now you owe me something. No. Real patience asks for nothing in exchange. It simply says, I care about you enough to let your heart move at its own pace. And maybe that is why I believe in us, even when I do not have all the answers. Because some things become more meaningful when they are not forced. A flower does not open because someone shouts at it. The morning does not arrive because we become impatient with the night. Some things need their own time. They grow in silence. They become stronger where no one can see them. Maybe love can be like that too. Maybe what feels uncertain today is simply still becoming. I know there may be moments when you wonder if I am serious. You may look at the world and see how quickly people say, I love you, and how quickly they disappear. You may have learned to protect your heart because promises have disappointed you before. Maybe there are parts of you that still hesitate whenever someone gets too close. Maybe you have become careful, and honestly, I cannot blame you for that. But I want you to know that I am not here to ask you to forget what life has taught you. I am here to show you that something different can still exist. I may not always have perfect words. I may not always know the exact thing to say. There will probably be days when I am quiet, days when I am tired, days when life feels heavier than I expected. But if I tell you that you matter to me, I want those words to mean something beyond the moment in which they are spoken. I want them to live in my actions. I want you to feel them in the way I respect you, in the way I listen to you, in the way I remember the little things that others might forget, because love is not only found in grand moments. Sometimes love is simply remembering what makes someone smile, remembering the things they are afraid to say out loud, remembering that they had a difficult day, remembering the version of them that they only show when they feel safe. Love can live in a message sent at the right moment, in a quiet conversation when the rest of the world is asleep, in the decision to stay gentle when life gives you every reason to become hard. And when I think about you, I think about all those quiet possibilities. I imagine a day when there is no need to wonder anymore. A day when I do not have to keep these feelings hidden between ordinary conversations. A day when I can look at you and know that you understand exactly what I have been trying to say all this time. Not because I convinced you. Not because I chased you until you had no choice. But because somewhere along the way, your heart came to its own truth. Maybe that day is closer than we think, or maybe there are still many days between us and that moment. Either way, I do not want to fill those days with fear. I do not want to spend every morning asking, what if it never happens? I do not want to let uncertainty steal the beauty of what already exists between us. There is something precious about hope when it is honest. Hope does not mean pretending to know the future. It means allowing your heart to believe that something beautiful is possible without demanding guarantees. So yes, when I say, after some days you will be mine, I do not mean that you are something to own. I mean that maybe, after some days, we will choose each other, and there is a difference. To be chosen is one of the most beautiful things a human being can experience. It means someone looked at all the possibilities in front of them, and without being forced, turned towards you. It means they saw your imperfections and did not expect you to become someone else just to deserve their affection. It means they understood that you were not perfect, that you had difficult days and complicated thoughts, and still, they wanted to know you. That is the kind of mind I hope for, not possession, belonging, not control, Canucks, not a cage, a place where two hearts can rest. I want us to have that kind of love if life gives us the chance. A love where you do not have to become smaller to make me comfortable. A love where I do not have to hide the parts of myself that are still healing. A love where silence is not always a punishment and honesty is not treated like an attack. A love where we can look at each other after a difficult day and know that being together does not mean life will never be hard. It simply means we do not have to face every hard thing alone. Sometimes I wonder what you will think when you finally understand how deeply I have cared. Maybe you will laugh and say you knew all along. Maybe you will be surprised. Maybe you will remember moments that seemed small at the time and suddenly see them differently. The pauses in my voice. The way I looked at you when you were not paying attention. The concern hidden behind simple questions. The times I wanted to say more but chose to remain quiet because I did not want to overwhelm you. There are feelings that do not always need to shout. Some of the deepest things in us speak softly, and I think my love for you has always been like that. It has not needed a stage. It has not needed the whole world to know. It has existed in the spaces where only I could hear it. In the moments when I saw something beautiful and wondered if you would like it too. In the songs that suddenly felt connected to a memory of you. In the quiet evenings when I thought about how strange life is, how millions of people can exist in the world, and somehow one person can make everything feel a little more personal. You became one of those people for me. I do not say that lightly. I know attraction can happen quickly. Curiosity can happen in a moment. But trust takes time. Understanding takes time. Real affection often takes time too. It is built through small proofs, through consistency, through showing up again and again, not because you are afraid of losing someone, but because their presence has become something you genuinely value. I want to know you beyond the easy answers. I want to know what makes you quiet when everyone else is talking. I want to know what kind of memories still make you smile without warning. I want to know what you dream about when no one is asking you to explain yourself. I want to know what you would do if you had one completely free day with nothing to prove and nowhere to be. I want to know the things you tell everyone and the things you only tell the people you trust. Because if one day we truly choose each other, I do not want to love only the version of you that looks perfect from a distance. I want to love the real person, the one who gets tired, the one who overthinks, the one who sometimes needs reassurance but does not know how to ask for it, the one who has scars that do not always show, the one who is still becoming who they are meant to be. And I hope, if that day comes, you will want to know the real me too. Not a perfect version, not a character created to impress you, just me, with my own fears, my own mistakes, my own history, and my own quiet hope that maybe two imperfect people can build something honest together. I think that is what makes love meaningful. It is not the search for a flawless person. It is the courage to see someone clearly and still treat them with tenderness. It is waking up every day and understanding that love is not only a feeling you fall into once, it is also a way of paying attention. Maybe after some days we will have more than feelings. Maybe we will have memories. Maybe we will have inside jokes that no one else understands. Maybe we will have favorite places. Maybe we will have little routines that seem ordinary to everyone else, but mean something to us. Maybe there will be mornings when you are still half asleep, and evenings when we talk about nothing important, yet somehow those moments will become the ones we remember most. That is the future I quietly imagine. Not a perfect movie, a real life. A life where sometimes we disagree, sometimes we misunderstand each other, sometimes we need to step back and breathe. But even then, we remember that the person in front of us is not our enemy. We remember that love is not about winning every argument. It is about protecting what matters more than our pride. I want to be someone you can be honest with, someone you do not have to perform for, someone you can tell the truth to, even when the truth is uncomfortable. Because if we cannot be real with each other, then what are we trying to build? I do not want something that only looks beautiful from the outside. I want something that feels safe on the inside, and safety does not mean never being challenged. Sometimes the people who love us most are the ones who help us face the things we have been avoiding. But there is a difference between someone who wants to change you because they do not accept you, and someone who believes you deserve to become the strongest version of yourself. If I am ever part of your life in that way, I want to be the second kind of person. I want to encourage you without controlling you. I want to stand beside you without standing in your way. I want to celebrate your dreams, even when they take you somewhere I cannot fully understand, because love should not make your world smaller. It should make you feel brave enough to explore it. And maybe that is another reason I can wait, because I do not want to rush a future that needs room to breathe. Every day between now and whatever comes next is still part of the story. Every conversation matters. Every misunderstanding we learn from matters. Every moment when we choose kindness instead of ego matters. We are not simply waiting for some magical day to arrive and change everything. We are becoming, little by little, through the way we treat each other now. So I want these days to mean something. I want you to feel free, even while you know how much I care. I want you to feel respected, even when my feelings are strong. I want you to understand that I can hope for you and still honor your choices. That is not weakness. That is love with dignity. There are people who believe that if you love someone, you should fight for them endlessly. And perhaps there is truth in that. Sometimes love requires courage. Sometimes it requires effort. Sometimes it requires refusing to give up when things become difficult. But there is another truth too. Fighting for someone should never mean fighting against their freedom. I will never want your yes to come from exhaustion. I will never want you to stay because you feel guilty. I would rather wait for a real choice than receive a forced promise. Because the kind of love I imagine with you deserves honesty. If one day you come toward me, I want it to be because your heart is walking in that direction too. And if that happens, I think I will understand something I have felt for a long time, that all those quiet days were not empty, that all the waiting had its own meaning. That every moment when I wondered what the future held was simply part of the journey toward finally understanding each other. Maybe we will look back and smile at how uncertain everything once seemed. Maybe we will wonder why we were ever so afraid. Maybe we will sit together somewhere ordinary and realize that the thing we spent so much time hoping for has become our normal life. And perhaps that is the most beautiful part of love. One day the extraordinary becomes familiar. The person you once missed becomes the person sitting beside you. The voice you waited to hear becomes part of your everyday world. The future you imagined from a distance becomes a morning you wake up inside. I do not know exactly when that day will come. I cannot tell you how many sunsets must pass before our story becomes clearer. But I know this. I would rather believe in something real that takes time than chase something temporary that arrives quickly and disappears without meaning. So I will let the days come. I will let life unfold. I will continue becoming the person I need to be, not only for you, but for myself. Because love cannot save us from the responsibility of growing. If I want to stand beside someone I care about, I must also learn how to stand on my own. I must learn from my mistakes. I must face the parts of myself that still need healing. I must become honest about the things I fear. And while I am doing that, I hope you are becoming more of yourself too, not for me, for you. Because if our paths truly come together, I want to meet you as someone who has learned to value her own heart. I want you to know that you do not need me to complete you. I do not want to be your entire world, because you deserve a world bigger than any one person. I simply hope that somewhere in your beautiful, complicated, growing life, there will be a place for me, a place I can earn through honesty, a place I can protect through respect, a place I can keep through consistency. There will be days when we may not know what comes next. There may be moments when the future feels too far away to touch, but I believe some connections do not disappear simply because time passes. Sometimes time reveals them. Sometimes distance makes us understand what presence truly means. Sometimes the days we spend apart are not proof that something is lost. They are proof that some feelings can survive without constant attention. Still, I do not want to romanticize pain. I do not want us to believe that suffering is the price of love. If we can choose peace, I want peace. If we can choose honesty, I want honesty. If we can choose to communicate before silence becomes a wall between us, I want us to try. Because the future I want with you is not built on endless drama, it is built on peace. The kind of peace where you know you can call me when something is wrong. The kind of peace where I know I do not have to guess what you are feeling because we have learned how to speak. The kind of peace where we can sit together without needing to fill every silence. The kind of peace where love does not have to prove itself every 5 minutes. Maybe after some days you will understand why I have been so patient. Maybe you will see that beneath every quiet word was a heart trying not to rush something beautiful. Maybe you will realize that I was never waiting for the perfect version of you to arrive. I was waiting for the moment when you could look at me freely, honestly, and without fear, and say that your heart had found its own answer. And until then, I will not turn my hope into a burden for you. I will carry it gently, because you are not a destination I have to reach by force. You are a real person with your own thoughts, your own timing, your own journey. And the more I care about you, the more I understand that loving you means respecting all of that. Still, I cannot deny what I feel. There is a part of me that looks ahead and sees us. Not perfectly, not clearly enough to know every detail, but enough to imagine your hand in mine. Enough to imagine a day when I no longer have to wonder whether you understand how much you mean to me. Enough to imagine a future where the words "after some days" are no longer about waiting, but about remembering how we got here. And if that future comes, I hope we never forget the beginning. I hope we remember the uncertainty. I hope we remember the courage it took to be honest. I hope we remember that love did not become real because one person demanded it. It became real because two people were finally ready to meet each other with open hearts. Maybe that is what I am waiting for. Not the day you become mine, the day we become ours. The day when you and me begin to understand what it means to walk together. The day when the distance between our hearts is no longer measured in unanswered questions. The day when I can look at you and see not only the person I hoped for, but the person who freely chose to stay. Until that day, I will keep believing quietly. I will keep caring without trying to own you. I will keep hoping without trying to control tomorrow. And somewhere between all these passing days, all these quiet moments, all these things we still have left to discover, my heart will continue holding this simple thought, that maybe, after some days, when life has brought us a little closer, and when both our hearts are ready, you will look at me and see not a stranger waiting for a miracle, but someone who cared enough to be patient, someone who believed in your freedom as much as he believed in his feelings, someone who never wanted to take your heart by force, but hoped that one day you would place it gently beside his. And in that quiet moment, with no pressure and no need for perfect words, we would understand that all along we were slowly